This is my several problems I have with WWE and another rant on WWE, on WWE's current product. Like I said in my previous videos, I decided I'm gonna stop watching WWE because I am fed up with their product, and none of my problems or complaints towards the WWE product will ever be addressed or corrected. You can have several people on here talking about the problems with WWE, what they need to do, what they're gonna do, and they're never gonna do it. So from now on, like I said, since my favorite thing about WWE right now is the talent they can get under the roof, I will just read the results and watch them. I don't like the way a lot of the talent is being used. I don't like the storylines. I don't like the bland matches you see, and of course, just the bland shows, which brings me to my first problem: overexposure of the WWE product. Shows like TNA, Ring of Honor, and other independent promotions have one or two shows a month. Have one or two shows a month. Have one or two shows a month. WWE has 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 as pretty much five shows, that's like almost that's almost like 10 hours of 9 to 10 hours of wrestling a week, and not good wrestling. And they don't use these extra television deal for like a good character development and great wrestling. No, it's used for it's used for more advertisements. Let's start off with Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw is 3 hours. That it is boring. It is boring and difficult to watch. And unlike products like WCW, which could fill 3 hours, I don't like 3 hour wrestling shows, but at least products like WCW could fill 3 hours. They had the talent pool at that time to go 3 hours, and they used it for great wrestling and great storylines, and had this awesome format with cruiserweights and mid carders first. Then of course NWO comes out and says something. So they would use the first hour for awesome wrestling and selling you on the on the second and third hours. WWE doesn't do that. It's just a bunch of filler matches, dull, uninteresting storylines, and just a lot of bland matches. Nothing on Raw is good except except Kevin Owens, Kevin Owens, Kevin Owens, and anything Seth Rollins as champion. Seth Rollins champion. There is no interesting storylines. The storyline between Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar is boring. The only thing good about it is that it's Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar, but the feud itself is dull and uninteresting, and good there isn't any good feud. There isn't any good feuds or stuff really on this show. And so, like I said, the next show, of course, is in my opinion, my opinion, one of the worst and most overrated shows of all time, and that is NXT. NXT is boring. I first watched this promotion in 2012, and apart from Derek Bateman, who is now EC3 and TNA, I saw nothing entertaining about this promotion. This promotion was a ripoff, was a garbage, crappy ripoff of indie wrestling like Ring of Honor, TNA Impact, TNA Impact, and of course, what's another show called again? What's another show? Oh yes, the very old school WCW Saturday Night, which also featured which was also a show that featured familiar stars who are not used in major WWE, who are not used in major angles, and of course up and coming stars. So it's a ripoff of WCW Saturday Night Wrestling. WCW Saturday Night Wrestling, which sort of acted as a developmental show to the very popular to the Monday Nitros and the Thunders. Um, so um, So it's not original. It's not original. It's bland and boring. The cool set design, and awesome interest music. I wish they would have given that to the next show I'm about to talk about, and that's SmackDown, which is also boring and bland compared to how awesome SmackDown used to be. I wish they would have gave SmackDown or hell even Raw this type of this type of feel. You're just watching a show with a bunch of independent wrestlers that no one really cares about. There's some familiar faces there, but if you watch independent and Japanese wrestling, but it's just a bunch of wrestlers nobody cares about. They're dedicating TV time to this. There's a reason OVW and FCW. There's a reason these weren't nationally televised because a lot of these guys weren't ready for the mainstream roster. A lot of these guys weren't ready for mainstream roster, but yet this is featured on primetime television. Not actually, it's televised, but this promotion is featured on primetime television and is on the network, and it's just boring. Samoa Joe, who's everybody's talking about, Samoa Joe, he sucks in WWE. I'm going to explain more about that later, but let's go to the next show. That's SmackDown. This show is much better than Raw and NXT, but the problem I have with it is that it's bland and poor compared to the old days of SmackDown. This is supposed to be the Rock show. This is supposed to be, despite the ratings never showcasing, this was widely considered the best show. From 99 till 2008, this was widely considered the best show, especially in 2003. This SmackDown was widely considered to be the best show, to be the best show, despite the fact that Raw has always been the A show. But like I said, this show is just bland. The Titantron is terrible. It's terrible. The ropes are white. The ropes are white. I missed the blue or black ropes. I missed the fist Titantron they had during the Ruthless Aggression era, or the old Titantron that Rhino speared Jericho through several years ago. That's what I want. That's the type of SmackDown I want. Then of course, just a bland wrestling show. The ratings are terrible. And it's usually just more random matches or the same matches you've seen on Raw and previous shows and Superstars and NXT. I mean, not Superstars and Main Event. I don't even have to talk about those shows. The only thing I like about Main Event is their theme. Main Event is their theme song. This is very poor in comparison to the '80s WWE's main Saturday night's main event show with Hulk Hogan and Andre and them. Very poor in comparison to those days. So, like I said, overexposure to the WWE product, and none of these shows are really all that good. And worth watching. Which is the next problem I have: boring, boring product. None of WWE during its WWE from the '80s all the way to the early 2000s were always alike, and were always about must see, must watch television. And back then, if you missed any of it, if I had missed any WWE, I would be pissed. I can miss a lot. I can miss a lot of WWE and not really miss anything. I don't care about anything that's going on. There's nothing really worth watching on this show. There are a couple of wrestlers I like, but there are several wrestlers I like, but there is nothing really worth watching on this show. You can read the results and watch the parts you like on YouTube. Unlike all these other products, which have a product which combine great wrestling and storytelling, this does not. This does not. The matches are bland. You may get one or two good matches, or even a couple of good matches. But the matches are bland, boring, with no real story. Even Schleg Daddy of Off the Rope Show fame have said this. Matches, like I said, they're just bland, boring matches that don't mean anything. That's a deep contrast to what it's like on the independent circuit and in TNA. And WWE is supposed to be an entertainment company, yet it's not entertaining. It's not entertaining. Roman Reigns, who in my opinion is beast and is awesome on the mic, is awesome in the ring, is beast and awesome in the ring, but he sucks on the microphone. He sucks on the microphone. It is horrible listening to him. He has some of the worst mic skills. He has some of the worst mic skills I've ever seen. Awesome wrestler, but terrible mic work. Then you got atrocious gimmicks like the New Day. This right here pissed me off. You got three badass workers. Kofi Kingston, Big E, and Xavier Woods. Consequences Creed from TNA and NW and Independent fame. And they have this crappy preacher singing gimmick. They're not only is their gimmick terrible. Their gimmick was so bad they had to turn these guys heel. Their matches are just bland. They're good, but they're just bland. All these guys are capable of much more, and they have terrible tights. God, like I said, this gimmick just pissed me off. The New Day. Another reason I don't watch. Next is mismutilation of talent. Mismutilation of talent, or just watering down wrestlers to the point you don't care about them. Antonio Cesaro on the independent circuit was beast, but in WWE, apart from his tag team with Tyson Kidd, I found him boring. Then of course, misusing him in 2014 when he was really climbing the ladder, becoming hugely popular. You sabotaged him. Now he's my opinion, he's in a boring feud with John Cena now that his partner Tyson Kidd is injured, which brings me to my next problem, going with Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe. I've always wanted him to come. I've been wanting him to come to WWE for a long time now. At first, I wanted him to stay far away from WWE, but in my opinion, I agree with the Wrestling Roundtable, an old wrestling talk show here on YouTube. They have an episode from 2007 where they were criticizing TNA's product in 2007 when Samoa Joe was one of the top guys. Then they were criticizing their product, and they were saying how it's a joke and farce. How Samoa Joe is not like one of the most popular professional wrestlers of all time, and I think that I agree with that. So TNA has had Joe pretty much for 10 years now, and despite despite the awesome memories and matches he's had with TNA, in my opinion, TNA has yet to utilize him like they should. So, in my opinion, he should go to WWE and make that money. But so far, his WWE run is terrible. He's had a couple of boring matches with Kevin Owens. He had one of the last week's NXT shows. He had one of those dull and uninteresting matches I've ever seen. It's a damn shame because when you put Kevin Steen or Kevin Owens and Joe in ring, where these two are capable of when working together, there's highlights of a PWG match they had, which was better than their WWE match. It is just dreadful watching them. It's just disappointing watching them when you see what these guys are capable of and what they're watered down and reduced to in WWE. He also seems like he's not in shape. His matches are just slow, boring, and bland. Finally, on his first day there, he injures Tyson Kidd. And I was really enjoying this Masters of the Universe or Brass Ring tag team with Tyson Kidd and Cesaro. Now Tyson's Kidd is injured, and with his neck injury, there's no way he'll get a push. Speaking of neck injuries, another problem I have with WWE is the road schedule. Since wrestlers are on the road, pretty much wrestling every day, they're more prone to injuries, and guys like Daniel Bryan are getting hurt and may have to retire from professional wrestling, and this causes wrestlers like The Rock, Goldberg, and stuff to leave. Why is this still around? This is the same thing that helped kill Guerrero and Benoit. So yeah, the wrestling road schedule. Wrestling road schedule. Another problem I have with the wrestling road schedule, besides wrestlers leaving, because these wrestlers wrestle every night, when they get to the main show, You see obvious, slow, fake, boring matches when that's a deep contrast to TNA and the independent circuit where you see these fast-paced, stiff matches. And when you see that, it's hard to come back to this watered down, choreographed fake BS, which is what you see in WWE. WWE. So that's problems I have. Next was Sting. Sting was one of the most interesting things to happen to the WWE product in a long time. In a long time, besides the Shield, and he shows up. He shows up in WWE to lose to a match against Triple H and never be heard from again. Next, the Authority storyline is boring. The Authority storyline is boring. The more Authority, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon coming out to talk. Why is the show about them in 2014? So like I said, um, what else? What else about WWE? Um, the storylines, the entertainment value. WWE, they're not much of a wrestling company. They're a mainstream pop culture entertainment company. They don't even do this right. They don't even do that right. They don't even do that right. You have companies like TNA, Lucha Libre, which do this 1,000 times better. So like I said, WWE just sucks, and it will never improve. It will never improve because the WWE, even though Vince McMahon is scum for doing this, is actually genius. Vince McMahon is trying to put over the WWE name. He is not trying to make any real new stars because he does not want anyone to get above the WWE like Hogan, Rock, Austin, and Brock Lesnar did. You see what happens when you push a star. You see what happens when you push a wrestler to unimaginable heights. They become popular, bigger than the company, and leave, and leave. So that's why he buries and intentionally misuses talent, embarrasses his own talent. The guys who make him money, give him these crappy gimmicks, put on these bland, poor products. He doesn't care about putting on the product. All he cares about is the money and stuff like that. All he cares about is the money. He knows people will watch or put money in his product, so he doesn't have to try to put on a good product. And for that reason, I decided to stop watching WWE. I can read the results on the internet and watch the parts I like the next day on YouTube. Well, this was my several problems with WWE, and like I said, the problems I have with WWE will never be improved. All right, Mr. the Fanboy out.